Hey guys, it's Zach and we're back for another Whiteboard Monday. And what I want to kind of do on this Monday is kind of recap on everything, because we've covered a lot about the REO market and really what's going on inside that REO market and some things you should be aware of, right? Because we talked about, what all did we talk about already? Well, we talked about on day one, what's happening. So what's going on in the REO market that we need to be aware of? So that was on the first Whiteboard Monday. So let's recap. We talked about what? Meaning that the REO market's changing, that if you're not in a position to know how to use technology or systems to get the deals out of the market ahead of time, you could be losing out on this phenomenal opportunity that we have about what? We have 12 to probably 18 more months left of it. So that's something that we talked about on the first one. The second one that we talked about on the other Whiteboard Monday was really about Zillow. And what we did on that Whiteboard Monday was we showed you some ways to use Zillow to really kind of dig down in your market and kind of decipher what's the hottest deals inside those markets based on what other properties have sold for, and you can start to see the relevance in the numbers when you use the filtering system that I talked about in the second Whiteboard Monday of this month. We also talked about if you use the filtering inside Zillow, you can find REO agents, if you guys remember that as well. That was another Whiteboard Monday that we talked about utilizing Zillow to only find the foreclosures in your market. So I want to make sure you guys are recapping, you're utilizing some of these tools, and then we had that kind of special training where we went in and we broke down the different parts of the REO cycle, really like what's going on, where you need to be, how you need to be moving in this. We talked about different things on, where to find the right agents. We also talked about not only how to find the agents, but we also talked about the types of agents that we're looking for. And that training, if you haven't watched it yet, you should absolutely, because we went in real depth on the specific type of agent. We also talked about where to find those agents, but the most important thing we talked about was that 5-step system. And that leads me to this. That 5-step system, if you remember, it was segment your market, find your agent, meet your agent, give your agent your filter, and then auto alerts. Those are the 5 things so that you can start pulling the deals out of the market. And that's on the other Whiteboard Monday. Really, that inner circle was a pretty, it's 20, 30 minute long, maybe 20 minute long training on that one. But what I really want to point out to you is that this is the market that we are in when I say in a short amount of time. And this month has been all about this, but it's really to help you guys get more answers. Now, we've been getting emails from you about, the training and how could you get more, because you also understand that the market's short too. Well, this Thursday, we're actually doing a live training. We're going to broadcast live on really someone that's found the way in this market, someone that not only found it in this market but is doing it for a while. And I just want to interview them so that you can not only see what I've been teaching you and how it correlates with someone who's been doing it for years in this marketplace and in the other market cycles that came along, so that I can do the interview, I can let them, tell us really their story and what they're doing different that maybe you're not doing. Because when you add all this up, this is really what we're in right now. But at the end of the day, what we have to think about is how do we shorten the gap, right? How do we shorten the gap? And so what is shortening the gap? Well, it really falls down to something like this right here. If you think about successful people in life. So let's talk about that. Successful people in life, there's this period of what we call a timeline, okay? So we all have a timeline from where this is where we want something and this is where we've achieved something. And for most of us, as we go through this want and achieve cycle, there's all these things. We start building momentum and then something happens. And then we start building momentum and then something happens. And then we build momentum and then something happens. And we build momentum and then something happens, and sometimes we stop, right? We just say, you know what, I've had enough. Or you might be one of the people that is trying to achieve something here in this cycle, and what you're finding yourself doing is you're building and then you're plateauing. And then you're building and then you're plateauing. And then you're just getting frustrated. And next thing you know, you're trying to figure it out, and then you just quit. right? And that's the different processes from want and achievement. Now, what we also know from want and achievement is that we call this the gap, okay? So this box inside here is called the gap. And that gap is the distance between you wanting and achieving and the success rate, okay? And so what happens is for someone out there who's just trying to figure it out on their own, they're making a lot of mistakes, they run into this frustration and they get aggravated and they come back and they say, this doesn't work, I'm quitting, right? And it's because of that gap period. The gap period is the strongest point of want and achievement that you would ever have to go through in anything you want in life. And so what you have to think about is, how do I shorten this gap? And the only way to shorten that gap is to really follow what other people have done, to mimic other people's processes or success in life. And that's why successful people, what their gap looks like is it looks about like this right here, right? It's only this middle section, because here's why. They take want, then they go out, they find somebody who's already done it, they mirror that image, and then they get their achievement. So their gap is so much shorter. And that's really what I want to help you guys do. I want to help you shorten that gap. And the only way to do that is to put someone in front of you that you can mirror, that you can model, that you can find success that they've achieved, and you can too. So that's this Thursday. So what I want you to do is I want you to register below this video, and I want to show you how you can shorten your gap from your want and your achievement period, just like I have and just like the gentleman I'm going to introduce you to on Thursday through this interview process. So just block out some time, about an hour to an hour and a half of your time, and we're going to go live, and we're going to talk about his story and how he did it and what systems he's used to be able to beat the marketplace and how he can help you shorten your gap. So that's what it's about, guys. Another Whiteboard Monday coming to you. Remember, register below for this upcoming live training this Thursday so that we can get you taking advantage of what's left over of this REO market, okay? So jump on board, register below. I'll see you on the next Monday.